Hello, Monika.
Hello, Joanna, my dear.
Oh
We
my
haven't
goodness. Oh
spoken
my
for a long
goodness.
time.
No, not for a long time. So, actually, 2 days. Yeah,
Yeah. But when
we
it
were
comes to
together.
recording, we haven't recorded.
When it comes to recording, yes, definitely. Because actually, maybe I was searching for a good subject. I don't know. Maybe I had to collect my thoughts. We'll see. But how do you feel after our last meeting with and meeting with Fatos Lubonja about his last book in Polish? So the second sentence.
Oh my goodness, yes, it's amazing.
Yeah.
He is an amazing person. After
Uh,
having spent so many years in prison, it's
yeah. Not only in
unbelievable.
this, and not only in like in one prison, but in labor camps
Yeah,
and few
exactly.
different prisons. And definitely, as she said, as he mentioned in his book, mm, being forced to live in the labor camp
Hmm.
was the worst thing ever, because actually he was afraid of his life every single day.
Hmm.
And even
Exactly.
if you did, yes, and even if you didn't have so much space, for example, in the prison, but you
Hmm.
could feel definitely more, how can I say it, more safe.
Yeah, see.
Uh,
Hmm.
yeah, but when it comes to the labor camps pass, it was so difficult to survive. And actually, every day uh, could be the day of your death. So it was,
Yeah,
yeah, for us, it's absolutely, how can I call it in English?
unthinkable. It's unthinkable.
Yes, unthinkable. I'm so happy that so many people came for the
Hmm.
meeting. I'm so
Hmm.
sorry that we had so small amount of time. So actually only 2 hours, or maybe 1 hour and a half,
Yeah.
uh, because all of these people, they wanted to ask him for so many questions, not only about his literature, not only about his books, but about his personal experience. And
Hmm.
for people, for example, if I understood them well, for people it was highly important, extremely important, to
Hmm.
hear maybe not everything, but a lot about his feelings, about his experience, about his
Life advice.
advice,
Yeah.
life
Hmm.
advice.
Hmm.
Because if you spend 17 years in labor camps and in prisons in
Yeah.
Albania, and you are just a young man, so he was actually 23. So he was at the beginning of his adult life,
Yeah.
and I'm very glad that we could hear that during the meeting, that it could be definitely different, and it is definitely different when you are imprisoned, for example, at your age of 40 or 50, 60, 70.
Mhm.
But when
Mhm.
it comes to a young man, so 23 with two young kids, small
Yeah.
kids, not young kids, small
Babies.
kids,
They were like a
yeah,
few months
babies,
old.
actually babies, yeah.
Mhm.
Uh, and the point is, I was not able to say that he had, yes, he had moments of doubting,
Doubts.
and
Mhm.
doubts, and he said that he felt that this very specific moment when he was feeling that he just wanted to survive, even if he would have to stay here for his whole life. He called it as a moment of weakness. I
Mhm.
definitely think it was a moment of his great strength,
Rich.
uh,
Yeah. Mhm.
extraordinary strength. Because, yeah, for example, for me, sometimes when I have my own problems, I
Mhm.
just want to close my door, and I don't want to see people, and I just want to go away from this world and not to be there. So yeah, for me, it's an extreme level of strength, and I'm so happy that Dorota Horodyska translated his books. So actually,
Mhm.
his essays, and now the second sentence.
Yeah.
And I'm very happy that she's actually in the process of translated his next book, so like a prisoner. Of course, now I'm using at this very moment I am using the title from English translation, and so the
Mm-hmm.
book was translated by I have to check it, by John uh,
Hodgson, I think. Yeah,
Hodgson.
Hodgson. We are
Translated
mispronouncing
from
the surname. We apologize.
Hodgson. Okay, yeah, yes, of course, from Albanian, and
Mm-hmm.
because as you know, I do not speak Albanian, and I actually know nothing about Albanian language, and definitely I'm not able to communicate in Albanian. So I decided to read this book in English, but now I'm waiting for Dorota's translation, and I
Mm-hmm.
hope that it will be published as soon as possible,
Yeah.
because this book, so like a prisoner, stories of endurance by Fatos Lubonja, it's a for me it's a next step after the second sentence. So it's a next step when it comes to the psychologization of his heroes, of all of these men here. In this book, he's talking about a few of them, but I want to emphasize that the first part of the book, so the prologue,
Mm-hmm.
entitled like "The Caged Wolf,"
Mm-hmm.
oh, it's not. Yes, it is tough. It is like
Even the title, yeah, it's like it's a good title, The Caged Wolf.
it's an amazing title, and even if I wanted to say that it's a kind of a metaphor, or it's a
Mm-hmm.
kind of parable
Mm-hmm.
of being imprisoned, even if you are imprisoned only in your mind, because actually, and I love this part of his books when he talks about narcissism and narcissistic relationship, and
Mm-hmm.
suffering from narcissistic relationship and narcissistic abuse. Actually, the caged wolf. So the title and the whole, yes, it's actually there we have only 4 pages, but these 4 pages are like. Uh, I don't know, a bomb, it's like oh, it's so difficult for me to construct my feelings and to express my feelings in English. It's like essence
Mm-hmm. And
of
then,
yeah, not only of being of the situation when you are imprisoned, when you have to spend your, I don't know, 1 year, 2 months, 2 weeks, your whole life in a prison or in a labor camp, which is
mm-hmm.
called here in the prologue as the uh, let's say modern zoo, because when it comes to a prison, you are imprisoned in a, let's call it as a, and actually he did it in the Kate Wolf prologue. So he called let's say the usual prison and the usual cell in the prison
Mm-hmm.
as a normal, so old-fashioned zoo, when you have just a cage and
Mm-hmm.
the wolf has to. It's a good word here in English. In the usual, let's say, old-fashioned prison and in the old-fashioned cell, you can only pace around the cell like the caged wolf. Yes,
Mm-hmm.
pace,
Got
pace.
it. Got it.
But when it comes to, and when he's talking about, when he's writing about the labor camp, Spas
Mm-hmm.
here,
Mm-hmm.
and the moment when he entered the camp, he realized that it was like a modern zoo with this larger area, but actually it was still a
Okay.
prison. So he was imprisoned in a kind of a modern zoo, but I have to say that modern doesn't mean better. So it's just a bigger area, but
Mm-hmm.
definitely more dangerous. And if you don't want to be like sucked in the human whirlpool inside, you just had to paste around the circle. Yeah.
Pace
uh,
around in a circle. Yes.
paced around in a circle. And yeah, so, but the title Caged Wolf for me, when I compare it and when I'm thinking about this prologue, once again, it's I can, I can say it's just a prologue, but it's not just a prologue. It's a like a boom, like an entrance, into the book. It's like
That it's mind blowing. I have no
yes,
idea.
it's definitely mind blowing because, for example, from
Mind
me,
boggling as well.
yes, from the literary point of view, when it
Yes.
comes to prologues are usually like a kind of an invitation for reading, like a kind of I don't know, a kind of encounter with the reader. But here in this book, like a prisoner, stories of endurance by Fatos Lubonja, the prologue is the essence, the prologue is the metaphor, the prologue is the parable, and actually the prologue is a kind of encouraging you for reading his all of his books, because actually the caged wolf is a metaphor and a parable. Actually, not only metaphor for me, it's too slightly, yeah,
Yes.
slightly delicate word. I mean, maybe parable is a better word here for
Okay.
his literature and for his essays, for his political essays, for his publicistic text, because actually being a caged wolf and just pacing around in a circle, you can compare it with his text about narcissism and the way of living when you have around you and next to you, very close to you, behind you, in front of you, over you, under you, everywhere.
Yeah.
You have narcissistic people. And what does it mean that you are living surrounded by narcissistic people? It means that you are surrounded by people who feel that they are entitled to tell you what's the better way of living, and that this and that their way of living is the best way ever, and that you should live the same way. And if you don't want to do it, just or you have to be in prison, so we will put you in the prison, or you have to go abroad. And his metaphor about the tree and tree roots, that he is
Yeah.
actually rooted in Albania, and
Yeah.
Albania and Albanian people, Albania. So this society, this very specific, maybe not, maybe the word specific is not a good word here, but this society and this territory,
Particular. Yeah. In
yes, and
particular. Yeah.
in particular is it's his place, it's his territory,
Yeah.
it's his place of living, and he doesn't see not only the possibility, but why he should go abroad, why he should move to another country, why his roots are here. You are my society, we are the group, and we have to cooperate within groups boundaries. We have to learn how to cooperate. But when it comes to narcissistic people, you are not able to, you are just able to learn their rules. Of course, from time to time, you will not be able to learn it. And from time to time, you will be punished just because they want to punish you. Because, as he said, they don't have the in depth insight. So they are not able to co-feel with themselves. And because of the fact they don't have the insight in that, they are not able to cooperate with the therapist. They are not able to um, actually to survive in a good world, in a world when being a part of a society means that I respect your boundaries and you respect my boundaries. And it means that if there is something in between, if there is a kind of a conflict, if there is a kind
Mhm.
of misunderstanding, if I feel bad about something, or
Yeah.
if you feel bad about my
Mhm.
behavior, you will tell me, and we will
Mhm.
try to cooperate, and we will try to create a new maybe not a new reality, but a new good stuff. But when it comes to his country, he
Mhm.
said it was not possible, because when you are surrounded by narcissistic people and you
Mhm.
are actually alone, or maybe there are just a few of you, um, you just have to listen to them, or
Mhm.
you are imprisoned mentally or physically. Because
Mhm.
if you want to say what you do really feel and what you do want to do, you
Mhm.
will be imprisoned, if not in the real prison or in the labor camp, but you will be imprisoned in your mind, because they will talk about you like about a crazy person, or, which is more awful for me, they will talk about you that you do not like your, let's say, your nation. You are against your society. You are
Yeah.
not good enough as an Albanian person, and
Mhm.
and you will be a kind of persona non grata
Mhm.
in your country. Even
Yeah.
if you say, I love this country and I want to cooperate with you, but
Mhm.
please listen to me. But listening to you doesn't mean that I'm just hearing you. I think that in his literature, he is asking. Maybe I'm wrong. It's just my thought, and yeah, my way of thinking. He doesn't ask them for hearing. He's asking them for listening to. But
Mhm.
unfortunately, they are just hearing him and not listening. And they do not listen to him, because
Mhm.
there is a kind of, I don't know, for me, it's a kind of, uh, it's a kind of narcissistic blindness, because
Mhm.
if they do not have the in-depth insight into them, they are not able to listen to you. It's not possible for them. I think that was the reason he mentioned Freud, and he said that narcissism
Yeah.
is a disease or illness which cannot be cured. It's not possible, because
Yeah, that was a good point. Yeah.
yeah, they are amazing. So when you go to the therapist, and you are asking for help, you have to um, you have to tell to yourself about your vulnerabilities, that you are a vulnerable person, that
Good.
not only that, okay, I have a problem, and please now help me. No,
Mhm.
the
Mhm.
problem is when it comes to narcissistic people, and our whole society,
Mhm.
which I can read um, in between his lines, is the
Mhm.
ability of not only of being vulnerable, but
Yes.
saying it, verbalizing it, and searching for help with this insight. So when
Mhm.
they are, let's say, when a narcissistic person has to go to a therapy because of some reason, there are actually only a few reasons which can force a narcissistic person to go to the therapy. But okay, for example, my partner, my husband, my wife, my daughter said, you have to go to the therapy. If not, I want to I will leave you, and that's the whole story of us. And then, okay, I will do it, and I'm going to the therapy with you. Okay, I'm here, and so we have this kind of problem. Please help me. That's not the
Yeah, yeah.
beginning. That's the
Yeah,
end,
exactly. We
actually.
have Mhm.
Yes, absolutely not. The point is, I'm here because I do admit I'm being vulnerable. Please help me with this word.
You're doing a good job. Vulnerable.
Vulnerable person.
Yes.
I
Vulnerable.
feel vulnerable person, and I feel that I need your help, and I do admit my vulnerabilities.
Yes.
But it's not possible for the narcissistic person because of at least two facts.
Mm.
The first fact is they are um, they when it comes to narcissistic people and narcissistic relationships, it is always about the power, the
Mhm.
control,
Mhm.
and the fear. They
Mhm.
so this the second stuff is so the second point is the second fact is they are extremely afraid. They are scared of
Mhm.
being vulnerable. They
Oh
are
yes.
scared of showing you that they missed something, that they do not know something, that they are just a human being. They are afraid of being a normal human being. What does it mean, being a normal human being? It means missing things. It
Mhm.
means that that I cannot remember something. It means that I have that I'm not right about something. It means that I do not have a control about you and
Yeah.
I do not need the control. It means that I'm afraid, and not only that I'm afraid, but that I allow myself of saying, I'm afraid, I'm scared. Please
Mhm.
help me because I'm scared. Please
Yeah.
help me not because she said she will leave me. She will leave me. No, I'm here because he said, because I'm observing him, for example, and my other relationships, for example, at work, and
Mhm.
I'm observing that something's wrong with me because,
Mhm.
for example, people who are next to me, they do not feel comfortable. They are afraid of me. They very often, how can I call it, debase as Ramani said,
Mhm.
they often debase themselves just
Mhm.
to stay in the contact with me, and I don't like it. I don't like it because I feel that actually I'm doing something wrong. I do
Mhm.
not realize it, but. When I'm doing it, but when I'm observing other people, and
Mhm.
when I see that they are actually debase themselves just to stay in a contact with me, that it's a
Yeah.
red lamp. Okay.
Mhm.
Okay, something is not okay. So yeah, something is not okay, and now I'm asking you for help. It's not possible for a narcissistic person because
Never.
it's
Never.
always about
Yes.
them. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
always
because
about
they
them.
they cannot expose themselves.
No, because they are they are scared, they are
Yeah.
frightened of exposing, and that's the point when it
Mm.
comes to his literature and his sentences. That
Mhm.
being surrounded by narcissistic people means
Mhm.
that you have to debase yourself, you have to devalue yourself, you have to
Mhm.
admit that you are right, you, not me, and my needs,
Mhm.
my point of view, my way of thinking, my love, my pleasure is nothing when it comes to your reality, your control, your I don't know what. So you are the best ever, and I have to be under you.
Hmm. Yeah, it
But
doesn't look like
in
that.
a yeah, in a safety word, it doesn't look like that.
It's like,
Yes, safe word. It doesn't look like that. And
mhm,
yeah, and actually, if you have to discourage yourself when it comes to speaking, when it comes to saying your real words, when it comes to I'm not talking about thinking only about your comfort zone, and that your comfort zone is the most important ever, and that we will always do what I want to do, because actually that's the narcissistic point of view. So they are entitled to tell you what's the best way of living, and they are entitled to tell you what's your best of living.
Yeah.
What
That's not
I'm
funny.
saying.
Yeah.
Yes, and what I'm saying, what I can find in his books, is the
Mm.
fact that my comfort zone is highly important, and your comfort zone is highly important too, and that we have to meet each other in between.
Mm.
And if we have to, let's say, reset our boundaries or redraw our boundaries, we should do it like simultaneously. It doesn't mean that at the same moment, but it means that it's like if I do it something because of you that I'm not even expecting. I just know that you will do something for me, maybe not tomorrow, maybe not the day after tomorrow, but it's a kind of a mutual stuff for us. But when it
Mhm.
comes to narcissistic relationships, and it's highly
Mhm.
visible in his book, it's a kind of jak to powiedzieć, unbalanced relationship. It's a
Mhm.
kind of unequal relationship. So your space is more and more narrow, is more and more, is smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller, because their spaces are higher, bigger, wider, and more important, because they are entitled to tell you that you are actually wrong and your whole life was wrong, and the way you live is wrong, and
Mhm.
what makes his way of verbalizing, of course, on these papers,
Yes,
his
yes,
thought.
yes.
So when it comes to his thought, what makes it even more tangible is
Mhm.
the very, I can say, not emotional, but I could feel the extremely high level of emotional intelligence when
Mhm.
he's talking about old people and young people. So, like teenagers,
The contrast.
and
Mhm.
yes, and older people. And when it comes to authoritative
Authorities.
authorities, so that
Mhm.
actually in this kind of narcissistic system, if it's Albanian, Polish, Serbian, Croatian, Nigerian, doesn't matter. This kind of
Mhm.
narcissistic society, you have this very specific blind authority, not blind authorities, but the blind believing in authorities. So if you said that he or she is the most important person ever, I have to
Mhm.
remember it and I have to
Mhm.
behave according to his or her rules. Because you
Mhm.
said that. You said he's the authority. If my family, uh, for example, if you have your narcissistic family, what does it mean narcissistic? It means antagonistic family. So family with no balance, family which is very which is based on the age structure
Mhm.
and the gender structure too, of course. So, for
Mhm.
example, if you, as my parent, said that you have to listen to me because I'm your parent and you have to do it exactly as I have just said, because I'm your mother, not because it's good for you, because, for example, if you do not eat any vegetables during the whole year, you will be sick for sure, because as we can read in I don't know, medicine papers, articles, it's very important to eat fruits because of vitamins and I don't know what else. But
Yes.
you have to do it because I'm your parent and I know the best. You have to love me. You have to
Mhm.
even love me because I'm your
Mhm.
parent. You have to miss me because I'm your parent. You have to
Mhm.
listen to me because I'm your parent. You have to and I'm the authority for you because I'm your parent. Not at all. The
Mhm.
point is that only in this kind of toxic narcissistic, antagonistic way of thinking, the older or the person who has the force. So the more like the bigger one has the right of telling you what's good or what's bad. In a good, I mean in a healthy, because when I'm saying good and bad, I'm saying healthy and unhealthy.
Yes.
So when it comes to the health, yes, when it comes to the healthy society, I will tell you what I think it's okay, because I have already read a lot of, let's say, papers about fruits and how fruits influence your health, etc. And I will show you my boundary. But I will not force you to love me. I will not force you to spend holiday with me because I'm your parent. I will not force you to say you have to be close to me just because I'm your grandma, and you do have to do it for me because I'm your grandma. That's not that stuff.
No, definitely doesn't work like that.
Yeah, it doesn't work like that. The point is, if we are in a healthy society, which means that we are in the society where we are aware of our borders. So the borders of the individuals and borders of the whole group. And it means that we will be able to cooperate with within honest and within szacunek, help me.
Respect.
Respect. Oh my goodness. Yeah, respect, of course. I don't know why. Sometimes I feel like English blind person. So with the respect. And what does it mean that we cooperate with respect? We cooperate with a respect when we are not hearing each other, but listening to each other. Yeah, and if
how can you prove that point in Polish? It's actually very difficult, right? Because hear and listen is very distinctive in English. And
yes,
in Polish,
so in Polish I use these two words, słyszeć i słuchać.
Okay. Okay.
Słyszeć i słuchać. I can hear you. Słyszysz mnie? Can you hear me? Czy mnie słyszysz? Yes, I can hear you, but please don't talk about this now, because I'm not able to listen to you because I'm doing something else. So I can hear your voice. I can hear the music, but I'm not listening to you. So I cannot, which means I am not present now inside in myself. And when he writes in the second sentence, when he writes about prison guards, and from time to time Fatos describes their faces and a kind of a shadow on their faces, and from time and in a few pages you can find this like a touching point, tangible point, when he's saying about, like, in this very moment, in this teeny tiny moment, I could feel he was inside himself, in himself. So I could feel his inside. But the point is that narcissistic people, or sometimes people who are forced to do it, to do something, they are actually dissociating from this themselves. And one of the most, actually, I'm still talking about one of the most beautiful or influenceable moments, influential moments. But actually, the whole book is influential, and the whole book has, I don't know, like 1 million moments, influential moments. But this very moment when he's talking about the theater, when he's talking about the moment in the sądzie, in the judge
court in front of the judge.
In the court, in front of the judge, when he felt that they are just, like, playing in a theater, knowing about their roles, but actually he was trying, I could feel that he was trying to encounter themselves, to co-feel with them, but it's not possible to do it where people next to you are dissociating. You can just cooperate with the dissociating mask of them, but not with them, because they are so afraid of the reality, even
Yeah.
if it's the forced reality or even if it's the reality of themselves, because they are narcissistic people which were scared of themselves or of their vulnerability, so they have to dissociate because they are scared of co-fearing with themselves, because it's like, it's definitely, it's not even overwhelming, it's like, I don't know, like a tank going on them, like,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
Riding them
And
over. Mhm.
yes, definitely. So the caged wolf, for me,
Mhm.
it's
Yes.
actually on the one hand the prologue to the book, like a prisoner, and it's like a description, let's say a description,
Mhm.
metaphorical or parabolical description of the place, but actually, and this way of feeling when you are in a prison and in a labor camp. But the second point is that it's actually a metaphor or a parable of being mentally imprisoned. But
Mhm.
I was thinking about it during
Yeah.
the whole, let's say, I don't know, trip or just traveling from Poland to Macedonia now.
Mhm.
That the caged wolf is actually two. Only, not only, but in my head, I can compare it, or I can have a kind of a parallel with a
Mhm.
narcissistic person,
Mhm.
which is, uh, you know, which is actually caged by themselves, by herself, himself, themselves. They are caged, but
Mhm.
but being caged by yourself inside means that you decided to cage yourself consciously, unconsciously. I'm not a therapist, I'm not a psychologist, but you decided, let's say unconsciously, to, or
Mhm.
your toxic family, your narcissistic mother, father, grandma, caregiver, takeover, doesn't
Mhm.
matter. They forced you to be caged in
Oh
your,
yeah.
and actually um, they create a kind of a narcissistic caged wolf, because you are not able, but being caged by yourself means
Mhm.
that it's highly difficult to be released and to go home. It's actually,
Mhm.
as Fatos said, it's impossible.
Mhm.
And I think that if Fatos is here, if Fatos were here, I could ask him about, I would definitely have asked him about what is he thinking about it, but maybe next time when we'll meet, because the caged wolf, okay, we can be caged in our minds, because people which are surrounding us, they are narcissistic and they are very like forced, and they forced us to live according to their rules.
Mhm.
But actually, I don't know why, but I have this feeling that being a narcissistic person, it's a
Mhm.
kind of being a mentally caged wolf with no possibility of living. And the difference
Sounds good.
between, yeah, and the difference between being a caged wolf because of narcissistic people around you, surrounding you, and being a caged wolf because of being a narcissistic uh, person, the
Mhm.
difference is in this pacing around in a circle. So
Mhm.
actually, when you are the person who was caged because of narcissistic people around,
Mhm.
you have this. need for, because of your insight, because of because of your ability of going into you inside. That's the great word here, wonder. Wonder, like wędrówka in Polish.
Yes,
So
wonder.
you have this feeling, you have this need of wandering, yeah,
Wonder,
wonder,
wonder.
wandering. So pacing around in a circle, or let's say cross the space, but you have to walk. So you are the ability of in depth, the ability of being inside in yourself,
Yeah.
the ability of feeling vulnerable and of admitting in front of another of people, I am a vulnerable person, and it makes me human. And please help me. Please help me. It's a extremely high level of this strength. But the point is that being a caged wolf, by being a narcissistic person, it means like being stuck, stuck in
Yeah, yeah. It's a good
cell.
conclusion.
They are
I
not
like it.
pacing around, pacing around in a circle. They are not crossing the cell, because of course they are thinking, etc. But the the less of ability, so of
Lack.
the inside, the lack, not the less, the lack of ability of the inside, it means that they cannot be released. They cannot leave the cage, the
Yeah.
cave. They cannot leave it,
Yeah.
because people as human beings and double sapiens, so Homo sapiens sapiens,
Yes.
they have to be in a move. The point is that the biological evolution and the psychological evolution, and biological and psychological evolution, when it comes to Homo sapiens sapiens, is on the level of moving. We are a movable creature. We have to move. We have to move. We have to move. If we stop, if we are stuck, it means that we are maybe on the level of the technical culture evolution, but forgetting about the biological evolution means forgetting about the fact that we are a human, that we are a species, we are Homo sapiens sapiens, we are an animal, we are
Okay.
a caged wolf. And when you realize it, when you have the ability of realizing it, it's the most important stuff ever for me. But unfortunately, when it comes to the whole process of growing up, of culturing, of learning from your parents,
Yeah.
caregivers, grandmas, granddads, universities, school, the point is that we are very often caged, and we are very often, but mentally caged, and
Yeah. Yeah.
we were very often told that we feel okay in the cage, and that everything is okay, because we have to finish our meeting, unfortunately, but we will go back to Fatos and Caged Wolf for sure.
Okay.
I want to, if it's okay for you, I want to read some parts of these
Okay.
prologues, even if the whole prologue is absolutely amazing, but I want to just pay your attention on some stuff. Um, so the very beginning, the
Yes.
sight of that repellent human whirlpool has remained my only clear memory of that first day. I've forgotten most of the prisoners with whom I traveled in the dark metal box of the prison van from Tirana. I've forgotten the name of the man whose wrist was locked to mine in a single pair of handcuffs for the journey. I've forgotten almost of our conversation along the way. I remember nothing of the search we were subjected to when we climbed out of the van and stepped on the inch-thick frozen snow. But the sight before me on that chill, frosty day in February 1975, when I looked down at the prisoner's zone from the top of a flight of steps, has remained vivid in my mind as one of the most important encounters in life. And one more.
Yeah.
Only a few days before my arrest, I had seen on television a documentary film about the mental stress suffered by wild animals in European zoos. The most sensitive survived the journey from Africa only with great difficulty. Some, like the giraffes, died on the way, and others showed symptoms of different illnesses caused by their severe problems of adaptation. I remember the wolves best.
Oh.
The film showed a wolf in a cage at the zoo, endlessly pacing around in a narrow circle behind the bars, never looking outside. This animal, whose extraordinary energy enabled it to cover up 200 kilometers a day in the wild, now was reduced to blind, directionless circling. This endless round was a sign of neurosis. Then there were scenes of wolves in modern zoos, which had attempted to create conditions as close as nature, no, no, as close to nature as possible. Here, the wolves felt they were merely in a larger cage and still wandered round and round, but in a larger circle. And I think that these two, maybe the last one, and
Yeah.
and unfortunately we have to finish
Yeah.
with this contradictory desire to adapt and yet never to adapt. I descended the steps from the dormitory to launch myself at last into the swirling currents of my fellow prisoners. As they welcomed me, their handshakes, their look in their eyes, their conversation, and their smiles made me realize that these creatures in their ugly caps, greatcoats, and moccasins were human beings, very similar to myself and the people I had known outside. Yet I could never shake off that feeling prompted by my first sight of them when the place had looked like a madhouse, and the sense that I had plunged into a whirlpool, plunged,
Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
good, good. Super. Yes, yes.
into a whirlpool of people united by neurosis of the caged wolf, and into an existence that was a negation of everything I have lived for. I
Terrible.
think, maybe next time we'll talk a little bit more about caged wolf, and then about the first,
Chapter or
let's say, co-prisoner, Equirum. I have no idea how should I verbalize it in Albanian, but the next chapter about him is very tangible. And I think that the whole literature, even if we talk about this kind of literature, like A Prisoner or his essays, his literature is actually tangible. You can feel it. You
yeah.
can feel it, even if you are just writing it and not listening to it. You can feel it inside. Thank you, Monia, for
Oh my
today.
goodness, amazing. Thank you, Joanna, as usual.
Thank you.
Very
Have a nice
insightful. Have a
day.
nice day. You too. Take care.
And if Dorota Horodyska will be listening to us, Dorota, please translate it as soon as possible.
Yes, we
Please.
say
We are
hello to
waiting.
you. Yes.
Yes. Bye
Bye,
bye.
Joanna.
Bye
Thank
bye.
you.
Bye.
Bye.